So that, to me, is sort of indicative of this problem of sharing knowledge or moving knowledge around in organizations. And I thought it would be useful to try to talk about, at least give a view on what the issues are from my point of view. And I guess it may be a failing of teachers in general, or perhaps it's just my style. I mean, I tend to have a fairly dogmatic view about why organizations are struggling with moving knowledge around. So if I am dogmatic about it, please forgive me. It's kind of my style. I'd also like, if there are questions as we go, not to hold over the questions for a question time, but my intention tonight, as I've said in the slide, is to create a context where we can sort of generate some questions, generate some discussion about these things. And when I say I'm a bit dogmatic about this, the way I think about it, in fact, is that in many respects, the organizations that we have today, the way we set up our organizations, perhaps couldn't be worse for sharing knowledge than they are. In other words, if you want a way of doing things where people are not going to share knowledge, not going to move knowledge around, then create the sort of organizations that we have today. And so when we talk about what does it take to move knowledge around, it takes a fundamental change. Now, I want to draw two distinctions, and I haven't got them in my slides. I want to talk about organizations and organizing, and Tom and other people who've heard me ad nauseum will know that this is a distinction that I'm very fond of between organizations and organizing. And I also want to draw another distinction about how we see what's going on in the workplace. And that distinction is between what I call the view from the top and the view from work or from practice. And I think it's in those distinctions between organizations and organizing, and the view from the top and the view from practice, and I'll kind of build on that in what I want to say, that we have the challenges of that we create the challenges or the difficulty of moving knowledge, because the view from the top dominates. We don't really see what's going on when we manage organizations. We don't manage them in terms of the view from work, how people do their work. And we manage organizations, we focus on the organization. We don't focus on the processes of getting things done, the organizing. And when we do knowledge management, we tend to, as is natural, we put it in the context of what's familiar to us, and that's the view from the top and the organization. And we don't, and knowledge management, really knowledge sharing, moving knowledge around, belongs in the view from work or the view from practice, and it belongs in the context of the work that people do to get things done. That's the organizing. And so in short, the reason why we are having difficulty with the sort of practical aspects of getting people to share knowledge is because we're not framing our mental models, to use the sort of term that Peter Senge uses. Our way of looking at things is not the appropriate way of looking at things, is not a kind of practical way of looking at things from the point of view of what does it take for people to share knowledge.
So are you saying, in essence, the organization is getting in the way
Yes.
of moving knowledge?
That's exactly.
Doesn't it get back to matrix management, which is a concept born a long time ago, that try to eliminate the hierarchy, let the organization function, you know, on a matrix basis, on a responsibility or a purpose basis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think in practical terms that I'm not sure whether the matrix is appropriate, because I think that the work that we do today, which Peter Drucker called knowledge work, knowledge workers, and knowledge work, doesn't. The best way of describing how we get that work done is not through matrices or structures in that sense, but through networks. And those are fluid and dynamic. And so when we think about structures, really, that's the sort of structure that we're thinking about. What does it take to support those networks and to make them the heart of what the heart of the way we organize. So structure is really in the structure of organizing is in the connections that people make. And as Neil said, the connections that people make is largely through the conversations they have. That's how people share knowledge. And so if you're really serious about sharing knowledge, moving knowledge around, we've got to, in a way, structure it so that our processes reflect the way in which people share knowledge.